Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Investor Lab, the auditory epicenter for passionate people seeking a life of freedom, choice, and abundance. And on today's show, we have a couple doing exactly that and winning and getting there and absolutely crushing it. So on today's show, we talk with a couple of investors, Jono and Tamie Gray. We talk about their journey and how they had to overcome their mindset in order to be able to start building a scalable, profitable property portfolio. And in fact, they now have a portfolio of 5 properties. And that is also part of the fuel that is allowing them to do some massive life changes, move to the coast, do heaps of other kind of really cool stuff. What I love about this episode is the focus on mindset and how you need to kind of prepare yourself in order to be able to maximize your opportunity to achieve all of the things that you want in life and also in property. We talk about how they have managed to they bought 1 property in the first 12 months and then 3 properties just in the last 12 months, which is really awesome. They went on a great buying spree and they've been super successful doing it as well. So if you're interested in property investing and you want to hear the success stories of somebody else who has walked the path before you, or you just want to hear how somebody else has done it, or you just want, you need to break through some of that inertia that might be holding you back, then this is the episode for you. So without any further ado, I can't wait to share this with you. It was such a fun conversation. I had such a good time. And I know that you're going to love it too. Without any further ado, let's get stuck into it. And I'll see you on the inside. Hey guys, welcome back to the Investor Lab. Joining me today are 2 very special guests, Jono and Tamie Gray. Jono, Tamie, how are you?
Great, guys. How are you?
Very, very well, thanks. Really, really nice to see you guys again. I haven't actually seen you in a little while, and it's so nice to see your face again. What's been happening?
Yeah, it's been a while, but and a lot has changed since we spoke to you last. We had our first little baby boy 6 weeks ago. So that was.
What's his name?
His name's Isaiah.
Isaiah, nice. Well, Congratulations.
Thank you. And I guess at the same time, I've got a new job. And we're relocating to the Central Coast. So
from the Hunter
Valley. So yeah, it's all happening all at once, which wasn't planned, but that's how things go sometimes.
Well, you say it wasn't planned, but it was 3? I think it was 3 properties ago. We were saying that the goal for you guys was Jono, for you to get a job on the Central Coast, and then for you guys to move into like I think it's a bit of a fixer upper, right? Family home,
and organising a renovation as well.
Yeah, and do the reno. Like that was kind of the goal. That was 3 properties ago, and now you're living it out. So I don't know if it's not planned. I think things sound like they're going according to plan, right?
Definitely planned in that sense. Probably it wasn't planned to all happen at once, is what I mean.
With a baby.
Yeah, with the baby thrown in the middle.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna, if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it right and get real busy. So that's awesome. Well, guys, before we kind of kick off, I've had the pleasure of knowing you guys for a couple of years now, actually, since we first met. But for the people who are listening to the podcast, they're thinking, who are these guys? What's going on here? So I'd love to just get a bit of a background on you guys. Obviously, you just mentioned Hunter Valley moving to the Central Coast. So we kind of know where in the world you are. And for those who are listening who don't know, the Hunter Valley is in New South Wales. And we're talking Central Coast, New South Wales. But tell us a little bit about you guys. What do you do? And, just give us a bit of background.
Yeah, so I'm from the Hunter Valley. I grew up here. I was born here in Singleton. And I'm an electrician by trade. I've been working in the mining industry up here in the Hunter Valley. And my wife, Tamie, she's originally from Sydney, and she moved up here after, quite a while after we met. I took a long time to get serious. So, yeah, that's me, I guess.
Tamie, was it worth it? Was it worth moving?
Yeah, look, it is now, definitely. But yes, it was a while doing long distance for a number of years. So, but now it's all worked out for the best.
Nice.
And me, did a degree in environmental science. So I worked for a little consulting firm in town in Singleton here, that does a lot of work with major approvals. So with the mining industry as well as like renewables. So like getting solar farms approved, wind farms, things like that.
Yeah, awesome. Are you taking a little bit of break now that Isaiah's on the scene?
Yeah, so I'm on maternity leave at the moment. And then, yeah, I've got a bit of flexibility with going back after.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, great stuff. Whereabouts in Sydney were you from, Tamie?
So like the Hills District.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Baulkham Hills, Winston Hills.
Yeah, nice, nice. And Jono, I'm interested. What was it like growing up in Singleton and growing up in the Hunter Valley? What was that kind of like?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like a lot of people finish school here and they, move to Newcastle or Sydney or get towards the coast. I was happy to stick around. I've got quite a large family and based in Singleton mostly. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoy the small town sort of vibe. I'm not really one for getting stuck in traffic and that sort of thing in the city. So, yeah, hopefully the Central Coast isn't too much of a change, but we'll see. But no, I'm very much looking forward to the move. As much as I do love living up here, it's it's an exciting change for the family, and it's an exciting time for sure.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I actually grew up in a really small country town as well, so I kind of share that. I shared the same sentiment. The hack that I've found though is just make sure that you can walk to wherever you work, right? So it's like I never get stuck in any traffic jams. So it's a 30-minute walk from our office to where we live. So I'm like, okay, because I agree with you. Like, being stuck in traffic. Anytime I try and drive around Sydney, I'm just like, oh my god, imagine doing this every day. I wouldn't live here. I don't think so. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Tamie, what was it like growing up in the Hills area?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think it's just for me, the big difference moving up here was, like I had, 10, 15 minutes from my house, either direction was pretty much everything that I needed, of friends, everything. Whereas here, if I wanted to go to a big shopping centre, it's a 40-minute drive, or like, it's just a little bit further, and but on the other end, everything that's needed the day-to-day is so close. So, my work was 2-minute drive, like it's like shops is just up the road. But yeah, if you need anything bigger than that, it's a drive. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, there's obviously pros and cons with living regional, right? So, and obviously if you can live regional, also still live in be in the center of a town and do all of that kind of stuff. But typically speaking, I had the kind of same thing where I was growing up. Like it was like a 30-minute trip to go to the groceries and all of that kind of stuff. Because no, I totally get that. And when did you guys get together? How long have you guys been doing this thing?
Well, we've been married.
18.
Yeah. Well, we sort of first met, I guess, or I guess we're interested in each other sort of around 18 years old.
How did you guys meet? Hang on a second. If you're up in Singleton and Tamie, you're in the Hills District, and you started you caught each other's eye, shall we say, at 18. How did that happen?
So we sort of share a mutual relationships. My cousins were sort of quite good friends with Tammie's parents.
From this house that we're moving into.
Yeah, so it all sort of stemmed from this place on the Central Coast where they sort of met on holidays and whatnot many years ago. So, so we've sort of crossed paths, I suppose, over the years, but I guess it was
bit of a summer holiday romance type thing, was it?
Well, it was. I don't know. It was sort of at a cousin's wedding that Tamie first really caught my eye. I guess I don't think I really caught her eye for a little while after that. But it's been a long time, but
we had 3-year wedding anniversary 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Congrats. Gee whiz, it is really all piling up. New baby, new job, moving to a new house, and a wedding anniversary all in one go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All at once.
Awesome. Perfect. So, okay, that's really interesting. So you guys met when you were 18, all of that kind of stuff. When did you guys start getting interested in property? Did either of you, is that like in the background in your family? Did you have parents that were like into property, or where did that start to come into focus for you guys?
Look, I think for me, we're both quite good savers. We don't like spending money. So we both did have savings. We both were living at home, had a good amount of savings. And for me particularly, my parents aren't really big investors. They did have investment property at one stage. And then when the interest rate rise so much, they did have to sell it. And then that's been it for them. So I didn't really have anything in the background for that, not family orientated, I guess. But I guess for me, I like the idea of figuring out my financial security, and I find it just very interesting. And so I guess I was looking into it a bit more. And then Jono had enough when we were looking to move in together. Jono wanted to buy a house and we had the savings. So Jono bought a house, but then I still had savings that I kind of was like, oh, maybe we could get an investment property, like a little apartment in Newcastle or something like that. And I think it was like at least 18 months that I was just, thinking about it and looking, but it was always too scary to make the dive. It's a large amount of money.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely someone that's Jews on things a lot. Like I'm definitely sit back and assess all my options and really have a good hard think about it, research a lot. It took me, I don't know, a long time to propose to Tamie because it's just I guess I'm one to, is there a better investment opportunity out there? Am I making the right choice? So I guess, Tamie was a massive help in working on both of our mindsets, I guess, to come into a place where we were ready to invest. And then obviously we discovered you guys at Dash Dot, and, we thought that, getting help to make this decision, because it was such a big decision, was definitely the safest and the best way to go. So, and we have
Awesome. Yeah, we'll circle back to that. I'm interested to know. So Tamie, you're basically the driver then, right? You're the one that's saying we're going to move this forward. That's really interesting, particularly when your parents had investment properties, and then you said they had to sell because of interest rates. So my assumption is that they were negatively geared. Is that probably a fair assumption?
So it's just one in Sydney. And then, it just got to a point where it just was not, they kind of lost money on it. And that was their only thing that they did with property, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So that's pretty cool that you've been the one that's been kind of shaping this and going and helping to get Jono on the bandwagon and get his mindset right to move it forward. So that is pretty exciting. So I'm interested to kind of know, how has your view on property investing changed since before we started working together? Because obviously a lot's happened, and we'll kind of dig into that, because you guys have been really successful in your portfolio over the last couple of years, which is great. But I'm interested to know, from where you were, let's say a year or so when you started thinking about it to now, what's changed in your mindset around property investing?
I think that's the biggest change. I know when I was looking at, options of where to invest, and you guys came up, I looked into you guys at Dash Dot, and we had a first initial a Zoom call, and Jono came into that. He didn't really have any background to that, and it wasn't for a couple of months. We decided no, we didn't want to spend the money up front. We would think about it, and it took a couple of months to get him ready to go.
Well, I guess, and this is the biggest change is, don't be afraid to get professional help with this sort of stuff. Like Tamie said, after that initial call that we had, I was sort of in the back of my mind thinking, why do I need to, spend money on somebody to tell me, what house to buy or where to invest or that sort of thing. But definitely, we both went away, we read some books and got our mindset probably in the right space. And it was then that I sort of realised that, I'm not willing to take on, all this research and all this stuff. I'm more than happy to pay somebody to deliver that option for me. And because I am such a steward as well, that just puts my mind at ease that I don't have to think about that. This is a good option. Here's all the reasons why it's a good option. You guys laid that out for us straight away, and we were more than happy to go with it. And it's been great for us.
Yeah. So Tamie, go on.
I think so before we started with you guys, the aim was to pay off our house. That's the best thing. Why pay interest on something, when you should just work to pay off and then look at doing stuff after that. And, after our call, the first call where we didn't decide to go with you guys, I went to the library. I borrowed every book I could on property investing, and, found a good couple. And the big one, I guess, that I got Jono to read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Great. Yeah. It's such a catalyst, that book, to so many people. Yeah.
And I think that dawned when we read that together. It was like this idea of, I guess you can explain what your change in.
Well, putting your money to work, like we said, we're both pretty heavy savings focused sort of people. We don't love to spend money, but the idea of having your money sit in the bank and then in 10 years' time, it's pretty much worth the same amount, or if not less.
Less. Yeah.
So, the idea of, every dollar that you put out there in the world to work for you is bringing you in more dollars. And, they're the best kind of employees. They don't take holidays. They don't take breaks. They don't have weekends off. They're making you money while you're asleep. And, it's just, it's that mindset of getting your money to work for you so that you can have freedom and choice and make decisions in your life based on other things other than financial.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. Love it. So talking about that kind of like the way that you, I'm probably more pointing this a bit towards you, Jono, like the kind of way that you go a little slower in the decision-making process at first. But it feels like once you've decided, then you kind of like lean in, right? You
He's ready to go. He's like, let's go.
Let's get as many as we can.
Because what's really interesting, right? And we'll talk about the properties, is because you guys have now got 4 investment properties, right? And you've done that in a space of 2 years, pretty much, right?
Yep.
Now, what's interesting is that we bought the first investment property with you guys, and then it was like 12 months later that we bought the second one. But then in the last 12 months, we bought 3 properties. So it was kind of like it feels like it was like sort of really hard to get the momentum going. You got one, and then I'm interested to ask the question. Is a question that I've got. Was it a case of like, we'll buy one and then we just got to see if this works and kind of feel it out and get comfortable with it? But then and then it just feels like, because I remember when you came back and said, hey, right, we're ready to go again. It was basically like, let's go as fast as we can. Like, let's go. I was like, okay, this is a bit of a shift. So what was the kind of process for you guys in between buying the first one and then buying 3 in 12 months, which is a good run, by the way?
I think seeing the results, I think what you said was probably right. We sort of sat on it and waited and see how it went. And although you can talk about, this is, you gain some equity and you're able to refinance off that, or this is how it all works, when you sort of, I guess, see it in your own life and you can actually see the figures in front of you for something that you actually own, and it's somehow different. I don't know. It was different for me anyway. It got me excited to, this is working, and this strategy, everything's positive, everything's making us money. There's as low as risk as possible with it. And for me, that was just, all right, well, why not have this money continue to work for us? And then I guess that's where we sort of shifted as well from the goal from, let's pay off our house. That's the most important thing for us, to, let's actually use this money to leverage more money from the bank, and then that grows. And I guess it'll just sort of snowball from there.
Yeah, like who cares about the small amount of interest on a home loan when you can leverage and make more money on, so you're just balancing, and it's just the mindset was the big thing for us. And
Yeah, it's a really funny one, isn't it, right? Because naturally, because we're all kind of told like debt's bad and all of that kind of stuff. And so the natural inclination is to want to pay down debt. And as we know, there's good debt and bad debt and all that kind of stuff. When you think about it, when you think about the maths around it, right? So let's say that you're paying 3% interest on your home loan. All you need to do is get more than 3% return, and then your money, to make it worthwhile. And if you can't make more than 3% on your money, okay, you definitely need help. You know what I mean? So it's pretty interesting, but that's a really big mindset shift for people, because they don't think about it in terms of like the hurdle rate. That's what it's called, is the hurdle rate. Going, okay, hang on a second. All I need to do is get better than X, and then it's all worthwhile. And I think that's particularly as, we're in an environment where people are talking about interest rate rises and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, if the interest rate does go up a little bit, are you still going to be able to beat the hurdle rate? And, the answer is yes. So,
and I guess like you're saying, all you have to do is make more. And that's been our experience 100%. Like, we're in a position now where these properties, we're not having to pay our own home loan, and it just frees up more money to do the things we want, or more money to reinvest, and more money to make the choices that we want and the lifestyle changes that we want to make, for sure. So awesome. Definitely that mindset of putting your money to work for you to pay for the things that you're just forking out of your pocket at the moment is absolutely incredible.
Did you have to kind of like overcome any challenges mindset wise to start buying in places that you were never even going to see the property? Because you guys are in New South Wales, the first property we bought was in South Australia. The other properties we bought, one's in WA and two of them are in Queensland. So you've never been to any of the properties. Did you have to kind of like, how did you guys approach that aspect of it?
I guess, for me,
we put the trust in you guys.
Yeah, I'm probably more happy to just see that on paper the numbers work. Like if you can tell me that this is how much it's going to cost and this is how much it's going to generate and whatnot, then I'm happy to not be able to see the place. I'm happy to go and pay I'm an electrician. I'm happy to go and pay an electrician to go and fix a PowerPoint if it needs to. That's all fine. Like I think. I think probably once upon a time I was definitely of the mindset that I would like to be close and be able to
driving distance,
go and fix the house myself, so I didn't have to spend money on trades to come and maintain it, or just to be able to go and look at it. But now you think about it, it's what are you going to do if you could go and touch it? Like it's not going to change a thing really. So we were happy to hand over to you guys and say, look, we don't really mind, wherever the case may be, that is the best opportunity for us, then give it to us.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk about the properties really quickly. There's a lot of other stuff that I want to talk about actually, because I've got a few other questions I want to ask. But let's talk about the properties really quickly. So, you guys have bought 4 properties, as I mentioned. You bought 1, and then 12 months later, you then started a buying spree basically, and you bought 3. bought 3 in 12 months. The combined return on invested capital that you guys have got is 148.1% so far to date, which is pretty good, right? which is probably better than the share market, that's for sure. Do any of the properties stand out to you as being like particularly interesting? Is there anything like from your perspective? Because I could sit here and talk about the numbers and all of that kind of stuff, and that's all great. But I'm interested to know from your perspective, like, do any of them particularly stand out, or is there any? Because like some of the yields you've got as well, you've got a mix. You've got 5.4, 6.1, 8.6 on one of the ones in Queensland, and 6.9. Do any of them stand out to you for any particular reason at all?
I guess probably. The high yielding one there in Queensland is a standout for me, because that's when you sort of start to see immediate results, I suppose, of money coming in that you can use to supplement your own expenditures and things like that. But in saying that, it's a standout because of the previous ones that we bought. You guys talked us through the strategy of getting a few growth-focused properties under our belt to start with, and I guess that's what we were talking about before. It was a bit of a slower start to get that growth happening and get a bit of equity in our pockets, and then so I guess without those first 2 there building on themselves and getting us to a place where we can start looking at high yielding properties that do result in immediate change to, I guess, how we live is that definitely seeing that change is what stands out to me from that particular or the 2 properties in Queensland really, doing quite well. So
yeah, awesome. Probably one of my favorites, and it might be because I'm going to ask you, Tamie, what you think, but one of my favorites is the one we bought in South Australia, and the reason for that is because I'm very in tune with that specific market, and I'm very excited. Like the long-term picture on that property is awesome. And also it's, you can knock it down and subdivide it later on and all of that kind of stuff. So it's got all these kind of like built-in benefits. I'm a little softy for that one, but it might just be because I found that one myself. So it could just be that. I might be emotionally attached. What about you, Tamie?
I think probably the same as Jono. Just like for me, like I probably couldn't pick the houses out of the lineup really. To me, it's not, I don't have a personal attachment to them. It really is investment. I don't care what they look like as long as, you guys give me, you bring back the details and the key sums, and we just go from there. So I think, just understanding that there is that kind of balance between growth and getting money coming in, and getting that balance so that you can continue to grow that portfolio is, I guess, a big lesson, I guess, we've come to understand.
Yeah, awesome. What advice would you have to someone who's thinking about getting started, or, maybe they're even thinking about working with Dash? I don't know, but maybe someone who's just thinking about starting investing, but they're at that point where they're like, it all seems too hard and too scary, and I don't know what I'm doing, and and they're just struggling to get that momentum, because you guys have got the flywheel now. The flywheel's starting to work for you. Now you've got that critical mass. Like you guys are freewheeling now, which is awesome. So what would you say to somebody who is back at the start where you guys were?
I guess if I was talking to my past self, I would say, don't be afraid to get help. Like it's 100% all about the team that you have around you. Not just Dash Dot, but mortgage brokers, conveyancers, all those people that help you out in this journey. Is unless you're willing to spend all of your time and make this a serious hobby and sit down and do all these things yourself and research and find all that out, which some people, that might be, a great hobby for them. But in this current climate with the lifestyle and how busy we all are, I think it's, you guys do this every day, and this is your bread and butter, and this is the service that you provide, so that people like us can, not have a heavy hand in it, but just help us along the way to be confident in the decisions we're making, and you guys provide all that, and definitely puts my stewards' mind at ease, because I don't have to really think long and hard about the particulars. If I can see all the numbers on the page, then I'm happy with it. So awesome. Don't be afraid to get help.
Awesome. What about you, Tamie? What would you say to someone who's like back at the start and trying to overcome that initial inertia?
I think it's really like educate yourself. Do what you can, do what you need. Like, for me, it was going to the library and borrowing a heap of books, doing a bit of reading, understanding myself, the process, and get your mindset in place first, because really that is a really determining factor to be able to put a large bit of money on, something that, you lose money, you could gain money. Like it's this, it just lowers, the risk factor, I guess, for me to have that understanding, and the mindset is that,
Yeah, awesome. What does success look like for you guys? What's the goal? Like, what are you guys shooting towards? Because again, not that long ago, the goal was get a job on the Central Coast, move to the fixer upper, and that's all kind of happening now. So, like, what does success look like to you guys? Why are you even investing in property? What's it all about?
I guess success for us is, having the freedom to make decisions not based solely on, financial gains and things like that with work or whatever the case may be. I think, I'm not talking about, financial freedom to me doesn't look like, buying super yachts and Ferraris and Lamborghinis, all that sort of stuff. It's just, not having to worry about, when the bills come in, not having to worry about that, or, not having to worry about where the money for the mortgage or the rent is going to come from. And then, obviously over time that'll change depending on how our story pans out. But at the moment, success to me looks like just being in a place where we can get to where we don't have to make decisions in our life that are, influenced by the need for,
to earn an income
or to have enough money to do the things we want. And, hopefully one day we'll get to a place where we have the choice of whether we want to work or whether we don't want to work, or how much we want to work, or what we want to do for work. Maybe we want to do something that we'll enjoy much more and get much more satisfaction out of, that doesn't necessarily pay as well as the things that we might feel like we need to do. But if we get to a place where we can make those decisions based off what we want to do rather than what we need to do, then yeah, that's financial freedom to me for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Is it? I'm assuming you've got a shared vision of the future, Tamie. But have you got anything you wanted to add on that one?
I think I guess on top of that is just time to like have freedom of time. So whether that is, working less, to have that time to be, with kids, or with like to be able to be generous with your time, because you don't have to work as much, or that kind of thing. That's, I guess, for me, a key part. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting, isn't it? Right, because most people kind of say the same kind of thing. Like they want, all of the stuff that you guys have just said: time, choice, all that kind of stuff. And you touched on a really interesting thing right there, Tamie, that like it's like what you can do with the time, and that's being able to actually have an impact, on your family or your community or all of these other things. Like it's not just like if you get to that point where you can, let's say you can get to a point where you can stop work, you're probably not going to sit on the couch and watch Days of Our Lives, even if that show even still exists. I don't even know, right? But you're probably not going to do that. You're going to be thinking, okay, well, what can I do now, and how can I help? How can I help others? How can I build other people up, and all of that kind of stuff. So, no, that's awesome. I love that. I'm interested to know, with all of the life changes that are going on with you guys right now, how do you think the portfolio that you've built? So, for context, most people never get past 2 properties, right? 90% of property investors never get past 2 properties. So you've cracked it. I think you would be in. Have you still got the house in Singleton, or have you sold that?
Yeah,
So
we'll be renting that as well. So
cool. I think that would put you in the top 1% of property investors nationwide, right? Which is pretty cool, right? Which is pretty awesome. Particularly that you've done it. You've gone from 1 to 5 in less than 2 years, basically, which is sweet. Most people would never achieve that in their life. So I'm interested to know, like, now that you've kind of got that base, right? You've got that kind of critical mass, the flywheel's turning, all of that kind of stuff. How has that helped you? Or has it even helped you? Is probably a good question in terms of like mindset and confidence and all of that kind of stuff with all of these changes. Because I know from speaking to other people that it can actually be the thing that can make it all seem a lot easier, because you're like, okay, well, I've already hit save. I've already got all this. I'm already kind of good over here. Has that kind of factored into how you guys are feeling about this situation, or just life in general?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's made the move a lot easier, knowing that we've got all this behind us. And knowing that, like I said before, currently these properties are looking after the repayments that we have on this place, and, renting this one out, that'll help us with, covering where we're going as well. So it's, having all that behind us definitely makes the move feel more secure and more, definitely easier and more at ease, I suppose, with the move. But then, going forward, I mean, like I said, I'm definitely on the bandwagon now. I'm ready to keep going.
Yeah, Jono's already, like a week after we had the baby, was ready to go, okay, let's go again. It's like, okay, let's just start your new job.
Starting a new job. I might have to just wait a few months. But,
till the bank he's ready, yeah.
Yeah, and so have you guys got a big renovation project planned in the next 12 months with the new place you're moving to as well?
Yeah, so we haven't got anything set in stone there, but that is the plan. We'll get down there and we'll meet with some people and discuss options with that. So, yeah, that's the plan, and we'll see. Hopefully we can get the outcome we want there. So,
awesome, super exciting. Okay, so I want to ask one last question then, right? So we're kind of up to our final. Well, actually, is there anything that I didn't ask you guys that you wanted to kind of talk about before we go into the final question?
I don't think so. Like, I feel like when we had sat down previous to this and said, what do we want to get across? What's our main message out of this? I think definitely, what we said, mindset, go to the library or buy some books, whether it be Barefoot Investor, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon, whatever it is, go out and just get some of these books that are really going to, help shift your mindset and get you in the right place to start with. And then, don't be afraid to reach out and get some help, because, that's what it's there for. And it just makes the whole process so much easier.
Awesome. Cool. And just checking in with you, Tamie, did you have anything to add? No, you're good.
No,
cool. Awesome. Perfect. So now I'm not sure if you guys are going to answer this individually or together, but imagine that it's your last day on Earth. like years and years and years and years and years down the line, right? You've lived a full, happy life. You've achieved everything you wanted to achieve. You've created everything you wanted to create. You've ticked all of the boxes, but for some reason, on your last day on earth, as you pass away, everything that you've ever created or everything that you've ever had is going to be wiped from the face of the earth, except your children, right? Right? But all you can leave behind is 3 simple truths. No one else is going to remember you. What 3 truths, what 3 simple truths would you leave behind for the world?
Number 1 is going to be pray. So Tamie and I, we believe in a God. So this is something that we do together. But if you're not coming from the same place as us in that sense, then this is definitely something that still applies. Even just the simple act of stopping, removing yourself from, all the stresses of our lives, and stop thinking about how many appointments you have this week, and stop thinking about, all the things you need to get done at work. Just stop and think about, 1, things that, you are blessed to have in your life, things that you're grateful for in your life. And 2, think about, how you can be a better person, so that when you go out into the world the next day, you can try and better yourself and make everyone's experiences with you better, I suppose. So that's our number 1 is, take that time out of the day to just stop and think about those things. I mean, we live in such an amazing country that, that's a blessing in itself. If you live here and, enjoy the freedoms that we have here, then if you can't think of anything else that you can be thankful for or grateful for, then there it is. That's a free one for you straight out of the gate. So
nice.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Take the time and stop and connect, and it could be connecting to yourself, to the environment, to whatever spiritual persuasion you may have, but just connect and and take that time in that moment. I love that.
For sure. Number 2 is give. I know, the books that we mentioned previously, you pick up a financial book and there's always seems to be this aspect of giving, like there's always talks about make sure you put money aside to give. And it sort of seems, I guess, counterintuitive, all these financial books, that you're reading to try and generate wealth. And one of the things they're saying is to, start giving your money away. It seems a bit strange, but, whatever way you look at giving, I suppose, whether you believe in karma, what goes around comes around, or I think it's actually Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Correct. Sorry if I'm getting that mixed up there, but I'm pretty sure he said something like, the easiest way to get a smile is to first give a smile, or the easiest way to get a punch in the mouth is to punch somebody in the mouth. So, the easiest way to get wealth is, to give it. And I think, I think the world would obviously be, such a better place, obviously, if everyone could wrap their head around that mindset. And I think a lot of people sort of feel like, oh, I'll get rich and then I'll give, or, once I have money, then I'll give money. But I feel like, if you generate an income in this country, you're already in, well inside the top 10% of richest people in the world. So, that excuse is out the door. It's time to get onto it. And for us, we're believers that, if you give, it will be given back to you the same amount, if not greater. So I think give would be definitely a truth that we would want to share.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, just on that as well, for me, I guess something that I've always grown up with was, or something that's kind of stuck in my head was save in order to be generous. And, whether that's investing or what, and generous is what, with time, with money, you want to be able to save in order to, when things, you need to be generous, or you need to, someone needs help, you're in a position that you're comfortable enough to be able to help, or, with time, with money, whatever it is. That's a big thing for me. And that's, I think, been, even just through my parents as well, kind of shown me that, they're quite generous people, and the idea of, being able to be in a position where that you can be generous is something that, stuck with me. So, save to be generous.
I think it helps with your relationship with money too, if you're able to give. Like, I feel like it.
Not super stingy.
Yeah, it gives you control over the money. It's like the money's not controlling you. If you can't give any of your money away, then the money is controlling you. So I think, if you can give, and something else that I guess I've picked up from Tamie is she comes out with this saying all the time, oh, it's only money. If we lose some money, oh, it's only money. It's that mindset of, we talk about financial freedom and happiness and all that sort of stuff. And yes, money helps you, definitely can help you achieve that. But at the end of the day, if you had millions of dollars, what would you actually change about your life? What things that actually are meaningful to you, you wouldn't just, those things you wouldn't throw away, and relationships you have with people and relationships that you build, and, being part of a community, all that sort of stuff, money doesn't help you achieve any of that. So, it's a good saying that I have definitely adopted is, it's only money. So,
yeah, totally. It's really interesting because money is the only commodity in the world that you can always get more of, right? So, look, it just doesn't, and I so totally agree with you. Like, everything you just said really, really resonated with me, because particularly giving when it's not easy to give is actually where the biggest impact happens for yourself, for everything, for like the whole kind of thing is like, not when you've got like tons of cash and like, oh yeah, I've got some cash lying around. I'll like, I'll chuck that out. I'll give that to somebody else or whatever. But it's when it's meaningful. Like, it's like when you maybe you give away the last $10 you got in your wallet or something like that. That's where the impact happens, because that's pure. That's giving from a really pure place. I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Final one.
Start today or start yesterday, whatever that. Just you just got to make that decision and roll with it. Like, I guess once you get that mindset, just get going. Time
is the biggest factor in all of this. Like, if you have more time, then compound interest, exponential growth, all that sort of stuff definitely comes into play. But it's definitely it's never too early and it's never too late, I suppose. So
yeah, love it. That's awesome, guys. I've really enjoyed this chat. I really, really have. Thank you so much. It's been great. It's been great to see you guys again.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been fun. It's been an awesome chat. I'm so stoked with everything that's going on with you guys, and congratulations again on the birth of Isaiah. I'm stoked for you guys, and I'm stoked to continue to help grow your portfolio again in the future. Once you've give it a few minutes, Jono. Just give it a couple of minutes just to settle in, right?
All right.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, Goose. See ya.